guys, welcome back to another video. I'm Dresden and welcome back to Dresden Reading and Gaming. This is my first reaction video and the video we are reacting to is Draw My Life by LDShadowLady. I decided that people was like, who else doesn't love LDShadowLady? So let's do this.
Hey guys, what's up? LDShadowLady here. I don't really talk about my life much in my videos, but after reaching 1 million subscribers, the support from you all was overwhelming and it finally gave me the confidence to share my story. So I put together a collection of significant moments from my life that I think have made me into the person I am today and created a Draw My Life video. Once again, thank you for all the support throughout the past few years of my life, and I hope you enjoy this video. So it all started with two human beings, my mum and my dad. My dad was a doctor and my mum was a nurse, and they fell in love. They got married, and a few years later my mum thought she had the flu because she was feeling really ill, but it turns out she was actually pregnant with me, and they gave birth to a little baby girl and they called her Elizabeth, and they actually nicknamed me Beth, and that's still a name that my family uses for me, even though now most people know me as Lizzie. They also decided to have another little baby, and when that came into the world, it turned out to be a girl, and it was my little sister, Maddie. Maddie is just over a year younger than me, so we've always been pretty close in age, and therefore we were quite close growing up, and we were really good friends, and we always did stuff together. Between being born and until the age of about 8 or 9, I don't really remember much, but we did get a cat somewhere along the way. So like most people, I went to school, and in the UK, the first school that you go to is called primary school, and you go there until you're about 11 years old. I didn't really like school much, so I used to pretend to be ill a lot of the time, and sometimes people would actually believe me and I would get to stay home and stay in bed and watch TV.
Wow. How do most people believe her, guys? Do most people think that it's because she actually was a good actor on trying to fake sick? Maybe. What do you guys think? Maybe you're thinking the same thing I'm thinking.
All day. I made some really great friends when I was younger, called Emma, Sophie and Jade was really tall. And of course I hung out a lot with my sister Maddie as well, and we were all one big group of friends. And we always had sleepovers, but instead of pillow fights and talking about boys, we used to play video games and make movies together. And I still have some of them on videotapes now, and they're really embarrassing. So growing up, I always knew that my mum was a little bit weird. She was always really eccentric and her behavior was a little bit unusual, but that was something that I loved about her. However, my parents used to argue a lot. There would be shouting and crying and screaming, and this happened a couple of times a week and really late into the night, so it would keep my sister and I awake all through the night on school nights. Sometimes my mum even threatened to run away from home, and that would always really scare us because we thought it was true. At the time we were too young to really understand, and we didn't know what it meant. But the reason for her behaviour was because she was an alcoholic. But I didn't really know what it was like to have a mum that wasn't an alcoholic, so it was kind of just normal to me, and I thought everyone had a family that was like this.
Dang, Lizzie, your mom's an alcoholic? Do most people know how to explain the definition of an alcoholic?
So life went on. So when I was about 11, I took an exam called the 11 Plus, and that tested whether I was smart enough to go to a grammar school. And at first I really didn't actually want to go to the grammar school because none of my friends from primary school were going, and they had a really dorky uniform compared to all the other schools. But looking back, I'm really glad that my dad encouraged me to go there because I got really good grades, and it was a really nice school. There wasn't a lot of bullying, even though I was kind of a late bloomer and I always considered myself to be ugly in school. I was never bullied for it. Throughout my years in school, I was always really shy, and I would hardly ever bring friends home because my house was such a mess. There would be plates piled up in the kitchen and mess all over the floor, and it was really...
Lizzie, if you're watching this, I get you, girl. I understand.
Really disgusting. So my mum would just usually drink a lot throughout the day and then sleep. So most of the time she was always asleep. And my dad was always at work. So my sister and I were just kind of left alone to do whatever we wanted to do, but we were also kind of sensible about it, and I think that's one of the reasons why I'm so independent, is because I always have been. But since there wasn't much to do and my life kind of sucked, I used to escape from reality by playing video games and going on the internet. Back then I used to play a lot of Call of Duty 2, The Sims, Roller Coaster Tycoon, and I used to play on a website called Gaia Online where you create a character and you earn money and you post on forums, and I just loved being part of the online community. So about halfway through high school, my dad moved out from our family home into a smaller home on his own, shortly followed by my sister who moved in with him, which left me alone with my mum. I didn't mind because I wanted to stay home and look after my mum because she wasn't really able to look after herself anymore. She didn't cook and clean up after herself, so I had to do that for her, and she would have a lot of...
I really appreciate Lizzie's skill of looking after her family, even when half of her family isn't living with them anymore. I still feel really bad for her because it's just her mom, and I really feel bad for her dad who decided to move away with her sister.
Accidents because of her drinking. She would often fall over a lot at home, and sometimes she would go out in public and she would hurt herself there, and quite a few times she had to have an ambulance called for her because she hurt herself quite badly.
Wow, that is so scary. It actually happened one time at Legoland. I'm not going to tell you what, but I'm just going to tell you that it happened. That's where it happened before.
So that was always really scary, and I got a bit of paranoia about her leaving the house all the time. I always thought that she would hurt herself and not come back. I finished high school when I completed my GCSE, and I did pretty well. I got some A stars, A's and B's, which was pretty good considering that I spent most of my revision time playing Call of Duty 4. But I decided to go to a new college where I didn't really know anyone, and it turned out to be great. I made a load of new friends, and it was a completely different world from the grammar school that I'd been to. During this time, I kind of came out of my shell and I became a little more confident because I got braces, which sorted out my teeth, which I was really self-conscious about, and I found my style, how I wanted to dress and how I wanted to style my hair. My new friends were really into partying, so I actually went through a party phase. And
at least she's being herself. I'm also trying so hard to be myself too, guys.
And I used to go out almost every week with my friends to a house party, but after a while I got a little bit bored of all the partying and I settled back down into playing games on my Friday and Saturday nights instead. I also decided to get a job at Toys R Us. My dad told me that I didn't need to get a job because he was a doctor, so he could give me money instead, but I just wanted to get one anyway because I wanted to earn my own money and get some work experience, and I enjoyed it, so I'm glad I did it. Meanwhile, at home, my mum would have good days and bad days. She started falling over and hurting herself more often, but she ended up trying to get help and going to rehab a couple of times, which always got my hopes up that she might stop drinking. But it was also really bad for her because she would have withdrawal seizures, which meant that she would have an epileptic seizure because she was suffering from withdrawal symptoms from the lack of alcohol. And they were equally as scary as her falling over drunk and getting hurt. And I think they scared her too because then she would just start drinking again. Now you might have noticed that I haven't really mentioned romance at all up until this point, and that is because I did not really like the idea of a relationship. There were a couple of guys that I liked in college, but the idea of intimacy and actually being in a relationship with them really freaked me out, and I just was not ready for it. During college, I started off my YouTube channel and I played a lot of Call of Duty, did some vlogs, and I started playing Minecraft. Sadly, around this time, the cat that I'd had since I was really young went missing, and
Poor Lizzie losing her cat that went missing.
and he never came back. I didn't really expect it to hit me as hard as it did, but I was really sad. My cat was something that was always there and always consistent every single day, even with all the changes that were going on around my life with my dad moving out and me changing as a person. My cat was always still there, always the same, and I found that really reassuring. And when he was gone, I felt like I lost a big part of me, and it took a long time to get over it, but time heals all, and I'm now at peace with his passing. And I'm just happy that I had him in my life for as long as I did. So when I finished college, I didn't really know what to do with my life. I'd heard about this summer program at Disneyland where you basically go and work there for a year in between college and university. So that was what I wanted to do. However, I did not get the job. So now I had a year before starting university and I didn't really know what to do. So I just continued with my hobby, which was my YouTube channel. As my YouTube channel started to grow and I made more friends in the YouTube community, I decided to go to a convention called Game Fest with some of them. And there was a huge group of YouTubers there. Some of them I knew and some of them I didn't. And one of the YouTubers that was there that I didn't already know was called Smallish Beans. I was drawn to him and I decided to spend the whole day with him. And we went around the entire convention trying to collect as many free things as we could from the different stalls. I thought that he was cute, funny, kind, and he had the same interests as me. However, he was not single. His heart belonged to another. But he was really cool and he seemed like someone that I wanted to be friends with anyway, so we exchanged contact info and we both went home to our separate lives. But pretty much as soon as we both got home, we started talking to each other on Skype, and we would talk every night until the early hours of the morning about anything and everything, and we would have all these inside jokes, and we became really good friends. So since I was on my gap year, I actually decided to spend some of my time traveling. So I flew to America to live in Alexandria, Virginia with my aunt and uncle and their children. And it was actually kind of lonely because I didn't have any friends there. So I talked a lot to my online friends that I had been making YouTube videos with. And I also talked a lot to Joel, who was back in England. Again, even with the time differences, we used to stay awake all night talking to each other. And after a while, I started to develop feelings for him, and I really liked him. I felt like if I didn't tell him sooner rather than later, then I would never have my chance with him ever again, and I just had to try it and see what happened. But unfortunately, he rejected me because he didn't want to mess up the relationship that he already had with his current girlfriend. Now, obviously, I was devastated by this. He was the only guy that I'd ever liked that I really wanted to have a relationship with, so I was really sad. But my friend Ollie started to teach me how to play World of Warcraft, which is an MMO.
Ollie meaning the YouTuber The Orion Sound.
RPG game, and I became a Blood Elf hunter. Because I was so upset by the recent rejection, I got really immersed into the game and I played it a lot. And I brought that obsession back home with me to the UK. I'd still remained friends with Joel all this time, and a few weeks after I got home back to England, Joel's girlfriend dumped him and he became a single Pringle. But he told me that he actually liked me and we decided to try dating. And it went well. Whilst I was away, my sister had been living with my mum to take care of her, so when I came back, the three of us all lived together. My mum was still really difficult to live with, but at least this time I had my sister to help me through it, and I also had the help of YouTube, which was my hobby at the time, and it was very rewarding to have people appreciate the videos that I made, and that really helped to cheer me up. And I also had Joel to keep me happy and cheer me up. After a while, my dad decided to move back into the big family home with me and my sister, and my mum moved out to a smaller bungalow on her own.
Aww.
But very shortly after, my sister and I both went off to university for 3 years. I went to go study computer animation and visualization in Liverpool. I actually really disliked university and I had a really miserable time. I didn't really like the course that I was on, and I hated living with flatmates who kept the kitchen really dirty. I wasn't really interested in a lot of the partying that my coursemates were doing, so instead I focused my time on my hobby of doing YouTube, and I made more videos more often. By the end of my time at university, I had almost 1 million subscribers and I graduated with an upper second class degree. I'm really happy with where my life is at the moment, and I even fulfilled my life goal of getting a cat. But even though quite a few bad things have happened to me in the past, I think that they have played a big part in making me who I am today. I just hope that if any of you guys are going through a tough time in your own life, then my story will help you to see that you can overcome it and become a stronger person at the end because of it. And I hope that you will get the happy ending that you deserve.
So that was the Draw My Life by LDShadowLady. I feel bad for her mom, but that was the last of all we've known of her. If you guys want me to do more reaction videos, I will. The comments are disabled, but someday they will be enabled. And as always, I'll see you guys soon, so bye-bye. Also, real quick, we're going to reach 100 subscribers for Fortnite. Don't forget that. Alright, bye.